Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Yesterday, I asked you if you would be interested in knowing about Musa alayhi salam and water. We talked about the story of Fir'aun and Musa alayhi salam and why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave Fir'aun the punishment that Allah gave. So in that lecture, I asked you if you would be interested in knowing about the importance of water in Musa alayhi salam's story. And a lot of you said, yes, we would like to know, on YouTube as well as TikTok. So let's talk about this particular story. Now, in the story of Musa alayhi salam, water is of great importance right from the birth of Musa alayhi salam. When Musa alayhi salam was born, the year he was born, Fir'aun ordered that every male boy, baby boy, must be killed. So when Musa alayhi salam was ordered, his mother was extremely concerned about how to save Musa alayhi salam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this in Surah Taha and says, إِذْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ أُمِّكَ مَا يُوحَىٰ. That Moses, I relayed a message to your mother. Now remember, here the word wahi is not in its real sense, because wahi in its true sense is only for the prophets and messengers. Here the wahi is in the sense of ilham. Yet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala relayed this information to her through ilham, that you know what, this is how you should protect Musa alayhi salam. أَنِغْذِ فِيهِ فِي التَّابُوتِ فَغْذِ فِيهِ فِي الْيَمِّ فَلْيُلْقِهِ الْيَمُّ بِالسَّاحِلِ. Then what you should do is you should put together a box, a wooden box, or buy it from somewhere, get it built from a carpenter, doesn't matter, and then put Musa alayhi salam in this box and put the box in the river. And the river will take Musa alayhi salam to his destination. And where would it take? It will take him all the way to the shore. يَأْخُذْهُ عَدُوٌّ لِّي وَعَدُوٌّ لَهُ. And the person who is after Musa alayhi salam, he's trying to kill Musa alayhi salam and all the babies, will be the person that will raise Musa alayhi salam. Subhanallah. So here we see right from the beginning, Musa alayhi salam is put into waters, and he is taken out of the waters by the very person and his wife, Asiya radiyallahu anha, because she accepted Islam and she became a Muslim. So Asiya and Fir'aun, they took Musa alayhi salam out. It is usually reported that in some stories it says that Fir'aun and Asiya, they were both sitting and they noticed a floating box. So they brought it closer and they opened the box and they found Musa alayhi salam in it. And that's why he was called Musa, the one who came out of the water. And Musa is an Arabic variation of the word Musa. But it means that the one who was taken out of the water, or one who came out of the water. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in this particular ayah, ayah number 39 of Surah Taha, وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِّنِّي وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَى عَيْنِي. That some of the mufassirin write about this particular ayah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for example, Tafsir Khazin, or if you open Tafsir al-Madarik, that Musa alayhi salam was given this miracle that anybody who would look at Musa alayhi salam would be like, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would put this mercy in the heart of this person, whoever would look at Musa alayhi salam, and would find this attraction towards the baby, and would love towards the baby. So Fir'aun found himself helpless when he looked at Musa alayhi salam, and the only thing he could do was like, okay, we will take care of this baby. Despite the fact that he ordered the babies to be killed, he was like, no, that's fine. And like when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does things, that's exactly how. So the idea is that right from the beginning, he's in the waters. He's taken out of the waters by the very person who has ordered to get him killed. So this is the work of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we cannot understand this. And then The next ayah says, إِذْ تَمْشِي أُخْتُكَ. And what the sister of the Musa alayhi salam, she started walking where the box was floating because she was instructed by the mother to see where does the box goes. So she is following the trail and she is walking on the land while the box is flowing in the waters. Subhanallah, subhanallah. So this is one place where you could see several different things happening, where Musa alayhi salam is the main character and water is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's plan. Water is doing things. Now let's go to the second point over here so that you understand what this is. Just the beginning, by the way, that how important is water in the story of Musa alayhi salam as mentioned in the Quran. Then Musa alayhi salam grew up, and you know that there was an incident that happened in Misr where at the hand of Musa alayhi salam, as he punched or slaps one of the person from the family of the Fir'aun, he was a Qibti and he died. As a result, Musa alayhi salam has to go in hiding, and a man from the court of Fir'aun came to Musa alayhi salam and said, you have to leave Egypt because they're planning to get you assassinated or killed or punish you with a death penalty. So you have to leave Egypt. So Musa alayhi salam left Egypt and he went to Madyan. وَلَمَّا تَوَجَّهَ تِلْقَاءَ مَدْيَنَ قال عسى ربي أن يهديني سواء السبيل. So this is Surah Al-Qasas, ayah number 22. So Musa alayhi salam reached Madyan, and in Madyan he of course has no work. He's tired. He has no place to stay. He hasn't had a food in some time. So now he is laying down, and look at water comes again. وَلَمَّا وَرَدَ مَاءَ مَدْيَنَ وَجَدَ عَلَيْهِ أُمَّةً مِّنَ النَّاسِ يَسْقُونَ. So when he was laying down, he noticed that there was a crowd coming and gathering, and he noticed that people were trying to fetch water from the well to feed their animals. وَوَجَدَ مِن دُونِهِمْ رَأَتَيْنِ تَزُودَانِ. And over there he found two women who also came for the same purpose, so that they can fetch some water for their animals. But the rush was so much that they were not able to access the water, and they were all men and that were trying to fetch the water, and these were the only two women, so they were finding it difficult to get into the crowd of men only crowd and fetch the water. So at that time Musa alayhi salam stepped forward, fetched the water for them, and gave it over to them so that they can give it to their animals. So these women now go home and tell their father, because father is like, how did you manage to come earlier today? It usually takes you a little while, because what these women would traditionally do is after all the men have fetched the water, then they would go and fetch the water. But today things happen quicker. So then they told their father about Musa alayhi salam, and he called Musa alayhi salam, the father of the two girls, Shu'aib, and then Musa alayhi salam found employment. Subhanallah, and also got married to one of the two daughters. So again, you see water coming as a very important object, even in this part of his life. So initially, it was water that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him so that he could be saved. He was taken out off the water, and now it is the water through which he finds employment and a place to stay and gets married and children. So this whole sustenance things is happening, and water is again in this story. So now let's move on to the next one. When Musa alayhi salam returns back to Egypt after 10 years, and now he has come to Fir'aun, and he's telling him that either you accept Islam or let the children of Israel go, and Fir'aun is reluctant about it. Now Fir'aun is tested in several different ways. We're already talking about in the Portal series how different insects and reptiles and amphibians or whatever, they just came out as a test. amphibians and insects we talked about in particular, and or bugs. But there was one other test we talked about, which was in Surah Al-A'raf, ayah number 133. فَأَرْسَلْنَا عَلَيْهِمُ الطُّوفَانَ وَالْجَرَادَ وَالْقُمَّلَ وَالضَّفَادِعَ وَالدَّمَ آيَاتٍ مُفَصَّلَاتٍ. Here is one of the tests for the Fir'aun and his people was dam, means blood. And you'd be like, okay, how is the water involved in the process? Well, the test was such that when Musa alayhi salam and his followers will fetch water, they would be able to drink it. But when Fir'aun and his followers will fetch the water, it would turn into blood. SubhanAllah. So again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, through the water, is telling the difference between right from wrong. If you're on the right path, you get the water. If you're not on the right path, you get the blood. SubhanAllah. So we see water again in the story of Musa alayhi salam. Now moving forward, we see in Surah Taha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about when Musa alayhi salam is leaving Egypt, and he is going on the other side. He has all the children of Israel are with him. And where does he reaches? Water. وَلَقَدْ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَىٰ أَنْ أَسْرِ بِعِبَادِي فَاضْرِبْ لَهُمْ طَرِيقًا فِي الْبَحْرِ يَبَسًا طريقا في البحر يبسا لا تخاف دركا ولا تخشى. That Musa alayhi salam was given the revelation that overnight, take all of your followers and go towards where? Go towards the waters. SubhanAllah. Again, going to the water. Now, at this point, a lot of things happen. That's why I want to talk about this particular thing in a little bit more detail. So, Fir'aun is following. فأتبعوهم مشرقين فلما ترأى الجمعان قال أصحاب موسى إنا لمدركون. When the followers of Musa alayhi salam saw Fir'aun and his massive army coming, and they're like, what are we going to do? How are we going to fight them? This is armed army. This is like trained and armed army, and we are like peasants, slaves. What are we supposed to do here? قَالَ كَلَّا إِنَّ مَعْيَ رَبِّي سَيَهْدِينَ. Musa alayhi salam said, Allah is with me and He will protect us. فَأَوْحَيْنَا إِلَى مُوسَىٰ أَن نَضْرِبْ بِعَصَاكَ الْبَحْرَ. So Musa alayhi salam was ordered to do what? Hit his staff on the water body. فَانْفَلَقَ فَكَانَ كُلُّ فِرْقٍ كَالطَّوْدِ الْعَظِيمِ. So as soon as he struck the staff on the water split in two halves, and a pathway was made for all these people to pass over. So this is another time where we see water coming into the story of Musa alayhi salam, and Musa alayhi salam is saved through the waters. And then comes another role of the same water, that when Fir'aun came with his massive army, in Surah Taha, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَتْبَعَهُمْ فِرْعَوْنُ بِجُنُودِهِ فَغَشِيَهُمْ مِنَ الْيَمِّ مَا غَشِيَهُمْ. When Fir'aun came with his massive army and he started following that route, then the same water fell on him and caused him to be drowned. Subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. So that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Shu'ara 65, وَأَنْجَيْنَا مُوسَى وَمَن مَّعَهُ أَجْمَعِينَ ثُمَّ أَغْرَقْنَا الْآخَرِينَ. So anybody who was moved with Musa alayhi salam and his followers, they were saved. And anybody who was not with Musa alayhi salam was drowned. So this is another place where we see that the water is being used as a way to save Musa alayhi salam. I'm not done yet. There are still other evidences or other places where water comes in the story of Musa alayhi salam. Then Musa alayhi salam goes for 40 days and 40 nights. He goes away from his people. Harun alayhi salam is in charge, and there is a man by the name of Samiri. Some other time we'll go into the details of the story. I'm just talking about the importance of water in the story of Musa alayhi salam. So Musa alayhi salam goes, and this person, Samiri, he tell people that Musa alayhi salam's God is here, and Musa alayhi salam went someplace else. So what he did, he had some sand on him that touched the feet of the horse of Jibreel alayhi salam. And since it was from the Jannah, wherever it would touch, it would cause that place to go green. Samri noticed that, so he grabbed some of that and he saved with him. He kept it in a safe place. And at this time, he asked everybody to hand over their gold that they have brought from Egypt. Again, long story short, we'll not go into the details how that gold got there. So he got all this gold. He melted, and then he melted all this gold, and he created a little calf out of it. And then what he did, he put that sand into the mouth of that, and that calf, baby cow, started making sounds. That's all. It would just make sounds. And some people, because cow was considered very sacred for the Egyptians, they used to worship it. So these people who were slaves for years, they, and their iman, their faith was very weak. And they also started worshipping. So Musa alayhi salam was then given this news by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that this is what has happened after you left. So he returned back to his people, and now look at what he is doing. He asked Samri, how did you do this? So he explained his viewpoint. And then Musa alayhi salam said, قال فاذهب فإن لك في الحياة أن تقول لا مساس وإن لك موعدا لن تخلفه وانظر إلى إلهك الذي ظلت عليه عاكفا لنحرقنه ثم لننسفنه في اليم نسفا. Musa alayhi salam said that this particular thing that you considered as God, and you started worshiping, and you deviated so many people from the right path, look at what I will do to this. I will burn this into ashes, and what I will do, I will throw this into the water. And the water will take the ashes away, because we want nothing from this to remain with us. Subhanallah. So again, you see water being used as a way to destroy the evidences of or any reminiscence of evil. So that was another place where we see. And now Musa alayhi salam with his people is in a valley of Tai, where they are asked to go and conquer the Palestine or Palestinian region, where the Philistine or the people, whoever was the people living over in that region, and then they refused to do so. So as a punishment, they were ordered for 40 years. They were locked in this jail of a small parcel of land where they would just roam around. However, at this time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them food, man and salwa, to eat from. And for the water, they came to Musa alayhi salam that how should we drink? So at that point again, وَإِذِ اسْتَسْقَى مُوسَى لِقَوْمِهِ فَقُلْ نَضْرِبْ بِعَصَاكَ الْحَجْرِ. When Musa alayhi salam asked water for his people, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, okay, take this staff of yours and struck it on the stone. فَانْفَجَرَتْ مِنْهُ اثْنَتَ عَشْرَةَ عَيْنًا. Then 12 springs gushed out in that land for the 12 tribes. قَدْ عَلِمَ كُلُّ أُنَاسٍ مَشْرَبَهُمْ. So all the tribes were able to find their particular spring where they will be their water source. So again, we see water being used as a way to save these 12 tribes from dying of thirst in that period where they were locked in that jail. كُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا مِنْ رِزْقِ اللَّهِ وَلَا تَعْثَوْا فِي الْأَرْضِ مُفْسِدِينَ. So that's Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah number 60. We're not done yet. A few more things that I want to talk about. And then, when Musa alayhi salam had to go and meet Khidr alayhi salam, that is Surah Al-Kahf, I'm not going in the details of that story right now. I'm just concentrating on the water thing. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لَا أَبْرَحُ حَتَّى أَبْلُغَ مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ أَوْ أَمْضِيَ حُقُبًا. And Musa alayhi salam said to the boy which was with him, which was Yusha ibn Nun alayhi salam, and he was a boy at that time, that we will continue to go on our journey until we reach a point where two water meet. And unless we get to that point, we have to continue on our journey. So again, we're talking about water being their meeting point. فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ مَجْمَعَ بَيْنِهِمَا نَسِيَا حُوتَهُمَا. And then they had a fish. The fish was cooked. We talked about this in a different lecture before, that how many animals who were dead came back to life in this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to show the signs from the birds, from the animals, from the fish. So this is a story of the fish we talked about before. So this dead fish, cooked fish, came to life and it jumped into the water. Again, water is coming as a source, as a way for Musa alayhi salam to find his way to go and meet that person that he wants to meet. So when he continued on to his journey the next day, he asked the fata, the boy, feeling hungry, can you bring the food? And he said, oh, I forgot to tell you yesterday what happened. قال أرأيت إذ أوينا إلى الصخرة فإني نسيت الحوت وما أنسانيه إلا الشيطان وأن أذكره واتخذ سبيله في البحر عجبا. And the fish went into the waters. So that's another place we see that the water comes in. And Musa alayhi salam was like, oh, that is the point that I was looking for. Let's go and go back to that point. So they went to that point and they found their way to meet Khidr alayhi salam. And now again, we see water. They're going and meeting Khidr alayhi salam, and Khidr alayhi salam is saying, you cannot be with me because you will not be able to be patient with what I have to teach you. And Musa alayhi salam is insistent, no, I want to be with you because I want to learn from you. And then they embark on a journey. Now the very first journey they embark on, what happens? فَانْطَلَقَا حَتَّى إِذَا رَكِبَ فِي السَّفِينَةِ خَرَقَهَا. Where did they go? They ride on a boat. And where does the boat runs? In the waters. Allahu Akbar. And then, the long story short, we see that Khidr alayhi salam tried to do some damage to the boat, and Musa alayhi salam said, why did you do that? And then towards the end he says, well, you know, the reason I did this because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me a knowledge about this. We'll talk about it at some other time, the details, but the bottom line is that there is a king ahead who takes away the good boats and leave the bad boats. So I want to make this boat a little bit faulty so that it doesn't get picked up. So again, water is coming into the picture, into the story of Musa alayhi salam again. So for the references of today's lecture, we looked into Surah Taha, we looked into Surah Al-Qasas, we looked into Surah Al-A'raf, and then we looked into Surah Al-Baqarah, and we looked into Surah Al-Kahf. So many different accounts where water is used as a very, very important element. Now, the same water that Fir'aun was so proud about, that I own the water and they run under my feet, they run through my palaces, I control it, and the same water that he controlled, what happened? When it was turned to blood, he had no control to turn it back to water. The same water that he was so proud of, the same water was the reason that he was drowned. The same water that he thought he could just go past through it, that was standing like walls, when it fell apart, he had no power to turn it back into walls again. And he claimed what? That Ana Rabbukum al-A'la. That was his claim that we talked about in the last lecture. And he said, you know, I do not know of any other ilah besides me that is worthy of worshipping. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Those were his thoughts. And then we also see that how through the water, the evil of that calf that was put together by Samri was destroyed. And we see that it was the water through which the children of Israel found what? They were saved from the Pharaoh's army, and it was the water through which they were able to find a solution to their thirst while they were in the period of jail time for 40 years. I mean, one story after another, subhanallah. So again, I hope you have enjoyed this. It must have been a great learning experience for all of you. Till next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.